Hi everyone, I'm Kurt Wadsworth, founder and CEO of DorothyAI. Today I'm going to introduce you to my favorite DorothyAI tool, Activ8 Freedom, the world's only comprehensive freedom to operate search engine. So without further ado, let's say hello to freedom. Welcome back. Activ8 Freedom is our freedom to operate search engine that finds patents that you might infringe by making, using, or selling a particular product. Today, we'll do a series of searches using the same query with different required elements and facet terms. After watching this video, you should be able to carry out a thorough freedom to operate search in around 30 minutes. It's summertime here in Pittsburgh, so we're going to focus our searches on a particular formulation of sunscreen based on US patent number 10813-870. We use the composition of Claim 1 as the product in our query. Claim 1 is relatively straightforward, describing a sunscreen comprising a UV filtering agent, pie seed, to additional organic components that are present in the formulation at particular ratios, and a cosmetically acceptable carrier. The specification tells us that the two organic compounds, ethylhexyl methoxycrylene and diethylhexyl shringolangomalonate, are known to boost the activity of UV filtering agents. Pie seed, on the other hand, does not appear to have been linked to UV filter agents prior to the filing of this application. Pie seed is said to exhibit anti-inflammatory, immunoregulatory, and anti-tumor activities, and according to Wikipedia, is related to resveratrol. Resveratrol, as you might remember, received a lot of press several years ago for potentially improving longevity and mitigating the effects of radiation on skin. Pie seed and resveratrol are members of a group of compounds called stilbenoids. This quick background research tells us that the presence of pie seed in the composition is likely the novel feature of the claims. So we'll focus our searches primarily on pie seed. But first, let's get a baseline set of results by searching the components of Claim 1 without identifying a required element. Logging into the platform will take us to our projects page. I created a project for this series of searches called Sunscreen Pie Seed, which you see here. If you'd like to learn how to create a project, check out our Activ8 novelty video. I'll leave a link for this video in the description. Clicking on the project will take us to the project page where we can store all of our searches and saved results. To start a new search, we'll click on the New Search button in the top right corner of this page. We'll then click Freedom, which will open a modal where we can input our query. For an Activ8 Freedom search, each component or element of the thing we're searching gets its own query box. In this case, we're going to copy the preamble from Claim 1, paste it into the first query box. We'll then click Add an element, which generates a new text box where we'll paste the next element of the product of Claim 1. In this case, the UV filter agents. We'll click Add element again and type or copy and paste pie seed. We'll do the same thing for the remaining components of the product. This will be our baseline search, so I'll not identify required elements, and I'll leave the weighting at the default, medium. Once all the components are inputted, we'll scroll to the bottom of the page and click Start Search. In the background, the platform is performing two searches. The first search is similar to a novelty search that's performed using Activ8 Novelty. It uses the entire query and generates a universe of patents describing similar technology. The second search compares each element of the query with each claim of each patent in that universe. Every element of the query is independently searched by each of the search models in our ensemble. So for example, if you have 5 elements in your query and we have 5 models in our ensemble, each patent in the universe is simultaneously searched 25 times. Even the most talented associate can't do that. We're going to do a series of searches focused on pie seed and the combination of pie seed and ethylhexyl methoxycryolene. This chart shows 8 searches in which either pie seed or ethylhexyl methoxycryolene or both are identified as required elements. Searches 2 through 4 will show how required elements impact the search results. The queries of searches 5 through 8 include a facet term, either pie seed or the more broad group of compounds, stilbenoid. Back on the platform, the results from our first search have been returned. We'll take a quick look at the results to see how the searches look. The full query is provided at the top of a list of results. Scrolling down, we first note that the source document, U.S. patent number 10813-870, is the first returned result. As we scroll down, we see the results are focused on sunscreens. The majority of the relevant claims that appear include cryolene or the malonate compound, organic compounds of Claim 1. This is to be expected since these compounds are known UV filter agents that we would expect to see in sunscreens. In contrast, few of the identified patents include pie seed. Let's see what happens when we make pie seed a required element. Scrolling to the top of the search page, we'll click Refine Search. Refine Search allows you to rerun a search with a modified query. As you can see, you can modify any of the elements, make them required, and weight the elements against the other elements in the query with a simple dropdown. In this case, we're going to click the checkbox below pie seed. We'll also weight this element high. We'll then scroll to the bottom of the page and click Start Search. While we're in the project, let's run the rest of our searches as well using the same procedure. Click on the baseline search, scroll to pie seed, check required element, then scroll to ethylhexyl methoxycryolene and check required element. Scroll to the bottom of the page and click Start Search. Finally, we'll make ethylhexyl methoxycryolene the only required element and start this search. Once our searches have returned, we can take a look at the results. The results from search 2 look very similar to what we saw in search 1. The patents are primarily focused on sunscreens. You'll notice that some of the results do not include relevant claims, even though the relevancy score is relatively high. This tells you that the platform is confident that these patents are relevant to your query, but very few of these patents specifically include pie seed. In a side-by-side comparison of search 1 and search 2, we'll see that making pie seed a required element changes the order in which the results are returned. Patents discussing pie seed or similar concepts are moved to the top of the list. A few new patents appear on the list. However, these patents, like U.S. Patent 9840716, describe pie seed outside of sunscreens and topicals. This patent, for example, describes resveratrol-enriched rice that can also synthesize pie seed. Let's compare the 4 searches we've completed using the concept extractor. Making pie seed a required element increases the number of returned results that discuss pie seed and stilbenoids, while the number of patents describing cryolene stay about the same. Our source document is returned first in every case, except the search in which cryolene is the only required element. These results suggest that there are not many patents that discuss pie seed specifically, and very few that claim topical compositions containing pie seed. Because cryolene appears so often in our returned results, we can assume that this component is very common in topical compositions and sunscreen. Because they're so common, there is a danger that the cryolene and malonate components can wash out patents describing pie seeds and stilbenoids. To ensure that we catch all relevant patents describing pie seed, we'll add pie seed as a facet term. To do this, we'll go back to Search 2 and click Refine Search. Since the required element box is already checked, we'll scroll to the facet term section and add pie seed by clicking Add a Facet Term button. Then we'll verify that the checkbox is checked and click Start Search. We use the same procedure to add stilbenoid as a facet term in Search 2. We'll then make both pie seed and ethylhexyl methoxycryolene required elements and add the facet term pie seed. Finally, we'll make both pie seed and ethylhexyl methoxycryolene required elements and add the facet term stilbenoid. Let's take a look at the results. For Search 5, we initially note that only 12 results returned. This confirms that there are very few patents that include claims specifically directed to pie seed or compositions that specifically include pie seed. Next, we'll note that the source document is returned first. The next result is a resveratrol-containing pharmaceutical. Then the enriched rice patent that we saw previously. Very few of these patents are directed to sunscreens, but all of these patents include claims that specifically include recitation of pie seed. This search provides some comfort that the universe of patents that we need to thoroughly analyze is relatively small. I'd say around 12. Like our comparison of Search 1 and Search 2, we see very few returned results from Search 1 in Search 5. In contrast, all of the references in Search 5 were identified in Search 2, where we made pie seed required. All of these patents are moved to the top of the list, and patents describing cryolenes and malanates are excluded. Comparing Searches 5 through 8 with Search 2, where only pie seed was required, and Search 3, where both pie seed and cryolene were required, we see many fewer results when we make pie seed or stilbenoid a facet term. We also see many fewer results that discuss cryolenes, allowing us to focus on patents claiming pie seed and stilbenoid specifically. Notably, the source document was not identified in searches where stilbenoid was a facet term. Facet terms provide a hard Boolean-like filter. Because the source document does not specifically refer to pie seed as a stilbenoid, this document does not meet our search criteria and is not returned. With this series of searches, we've identified patents claiming the main components of our sunscreen product. We did not find a patent claiming a topical composition containing both pie seed and a cryolene, suggesting that the composition itself is free from third-party patents. We found a large number of patents that have claims that include a cryolene component, generally in the context of sunscreens and other topical compositions. However, none of these enforced patents claim cryolene alone. We can conclude that this component alone does not present a freedom to operate risk. Finally, we found a very small number of patents that specifically claim pie seed and several additional patents that claim stilbenoids more broadly. These claims generally describe pie seed as a nutritional supplement that is consumed orally. None of the patents that we identified claim topical compositions containing pie seed, or claim pie seed or any other stilbenoid for that matter as a UV filter enhancer. We can conclude from these searches that pie seed does not present a freedom to operate risk. I hope this video is helpful. If you're not using Activ8 Freedom, use the link in the description below to go to our website for a free trial. In our next video, we'll discuss Activ8 alignment, strategy tools that combine patent, market, and commercial data, ensuring that you and your clients are getting the most bang for your IP investment buck. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day.